Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Hands Off Our Children radio show. I'm your host, Cogee. Definitely bringing that information for you. I hope y'all enjoyed the first hour. For anybody just tuning in, I want to say thank you for tuning in. I want to say hello to everybody around the world. I want to say to everybody, go to handsofourchildren.org. Give us a like. Follow us. Tell all your friends about us. Come and be a part of our team. Be a part of what we're doing. You know, hey, if you got something on your mind and you want to be a part of the show, we welcome you to be a part of the show. Today's show is Transgender Anti-Bullying Awareness Show, and we definitely feel like that we hit on some great things in the first hour. I want to welcome Sam to the show again. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Aaron, I want to thank you for being on today.
Thank you.
All right, and I want to thank my team. To my team, let's give it up, everybody, for our guests. Yes, we're giving it up for our guests right now. I want to thank everybody who's working behind the scenes. My man Shay, Mike, Jay, definitely doing it big. We got Flynn, who's he's definitely helping out back there. You know what I'm saying, doing his thing, making sure everything's cool. But today, you know, like I said, this is a very special show. We want to talk about gender. We want to talk about all the different terminologies of what, you know, some of us use, you know, in terms of calling people gay, calling them queer, calling them different names that are very hurtful names. And they done broke down. What I love about my show is even when we go to break or we trading over to the second hour, we keep talking. Don't nobody get up and we all just disperse and go different ways. No, we keep the topics going and we ask our guests questions. We ask them, did I say anything that hurt your feelings? Because if I did, I deeply apologize. But some of the things that we have been asking, me and Mr. Neal, a.k.a. Bernie Mac, you know, Sunshine, and my man E, we're asking because we don't know. We want to make sure that the public, if I got this platform, I want to make sure there's no excuse that my public has to do something other than what was taught on this show today than what they used to do before they saw this show today. You know what I'm saying? We want to teach so we can be better and treat people better, you know, and have more love for people and understanding. That's why we do this show. So what I want to do, I want to come to Sam. Sam, I want to ask you a question. How long was it before you told your parents, you know, what you were, what you feel you are, what you're not, that they think you are, and how did you break it to them? You know, that's what I want to teach kids today, and I'm coming to you, Aaron, and I'm going to ask Aaron the same thing. Him and Bernie Mac having their own discussion down.
I can't hear you.
Y'all can't hear me?
No.
Yeah.
Turn it up on the end right there?
It's like really loud.
Oh, so you want to turn it down a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. So what I want to do, now I want to teach, and now this message and the questions that we're going to get right now, they're not going to work for everybody. Mm-hmm. So you have to hear what you hear and you use it in your own discretion, but you just, you know, put it with your plan of attack to go and let the parents know what you are, who you are, why you are, and that you still are their child. It's just, you are who you are, but I'm still your child. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes as parents, that's what we need to hear. I think sometimes we don't only feel like we lost the gender of our child, but we lost our child. Mm-hmm. Am I right or wrong, Mr. Neal? I mean, what do you think on that? Does that make sense what I said?
It makes total sense about, you know, how we feel like we've kind of let go, we fell by the wayside, and
right.
Well, maybe we didn't do anything right. Maybe it was just totally us and it wasn't everybody else. You know, but sometimes it's like I tell people, when you raising a kid from the age of 0 to 8, that's when the learning process is already stirred. Anything after 8, 9, 10 years old, you know, they're finding their way on their own. So after a certain point, you've done your job. It's up to them. And I said, and I even tell the ones in high school, the one I teach, that, you know, whatever decisions you make at 13, 14, 15 years old, those are your decisions. There's not decisions that can be made by your parents, because at some point you have to start thinking for yourself. So if, I mean, at times the kids are maybe have questions or they feel that they are lost. It's not the fact that they're lost. It's the fact they just have questions. Right. And sometimes when you don't have that door wide open for them to come to you and ask those questions, then that's when the inexperience kicks in. They ask their peers and they get the wrong information, and then they start, you know, putting themselves in a shell. Right. So as a teacher, on the teacher end, I get more students who come to me with personal issues because I'm not their parent. And sometimes not being able to relate to them as a parent gives them the opportunity to speak as openly and willingly as they like to. Right. So I have to just make sure that I keep the conversation to a point where they understand that I have a buy-in in the situation, but when it comes down to making a decision, it's their decision.
You know what? See, this is what I was thinking about today as I was driving into the show. I think that if a young child, or middle age, or older person, they going through identity crisis. If what I mean by identity crisis is where they're not sure if they this way or that way, or they not sure if they want to be really known fully as being this or that. I think you need to find somebody that you can talk to and that you can really trust with this information, who's not going to judge you. And I think when you tell a parent or you tell somebody that you truly care about and you know this relationship could be dissolved by this secret that's going to come out, I think you ought to have somebody there with you.
But it's not
I think it ought to be a facilitator.
But the phrase was judgment. See, that's the problem. People are afraid that someone's going to say something negative about which situation, which direction they're going into.
Right.
And it's not always negative. It's just great to have the child talking.
But it's a shock value to a parent that didn't want to accept it. Some of them, like you said, some of them they know. But long as it's not told to me, I'm not going to fully feel that way. But when it is told to me, but when it is told to me, I'm shocked. You get what I'm trying to say?
They have to face it at that point. You know,
right.
They have to face it.
Right.
When the kid finally brings it up.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. There's no more dodging it. It is what it is, and it needs to be told so we can move on in this household, in this relationship, and in everything that we're going through. But I still say right now, and we're going to go to Sam, and we're going to, get this knowledge out there. I think it should be a facilitator there to tell the parent, whoa, hold on. Let them talk. Just hear them out first. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Hold on. Sam or Aaron, hold on. You got to be fair and let your parent speak. I think it needs to be a referee in the middle just so they can hear each other. And even if they break away, the key thing is they heard each other. So both of them on each end's got something to think about. And they got to try to find a way through both of those things that they're thinking about to come together, how they can come together with them.
No, and I definitely agree with that. I'm an advocate. I'm also a mediator for Clark County. There's different areas and different things you can go through for the county.
Right.
And you can sit down and have a licensed mediator mediate with the family.
Right.
And sometimes they may say it's something we want to talk about, but we need to sit down with someone who's non-biased in this whole opinion and this whole situation, and then you can bring things out. The problem is, if you've seen Fred walk with a twitch in his hip for a long time, and he wants to tell you something, then you need to just sit down and just bite the bullet and just handle it.
Yeah.
And the problem is we don't want to accept what we feel is taboo. And that's the crazy part. Because in today's society, nothing's taboo. When you open up the internet and go on Google and you can type in whatever you want to type in on Google and it comes up and gives you an answer, there's nothing taboo.
Right.
Because when we looked inside the encyclopedia in the dictionary when we was younger, because I'm a little bit older, well, I don't know, I'm a little bit older than everybody on the panel, so I can say I looked inside the dictionary and certain things I wouldn't be able to find because it wasn't updated as fast as Google and all the search engines are. So there's nothing on this earth that's taboo that we can't talk about.
Right.
It's your mindset that's taboo.
But if you can we're going to move on. But if you can get a family member, I feel, who can be very understanding and a family member who's close to that parent, they the ones that can get through once the child walks out of the room. They the ones that can say, hey, man, check this out. Now, I know this ain't my son, but it's my nephew. And you know how much I love my nephew.
Right.
Now, I can accept it, and I'm going to help him through it because I want the best for him or her. Right. Now, I need you to find a way to try to deal with it the best way you can. I know it's hurtful to you because it's your child, but I'm going to help you so you ain't in it by yourself. I think if somebody done me like that as a parent, that would help me deal with it more better because at least, Mr. Neal, I got somebody I can talk to. And I can be really open with you and talk to you because I don't want to go and talk to no outside person that can detour my mind for the love of my child.
But you
parents
just hit
absolutely
it.
needed that support system when a kid
Right.
comes out. It's totally unfair.
They do. They need help.
To ignore a parent because it's absolutely
That's right.
It deeply affects the parents' lives.
But the statement you said was open mind. Now see, when you're dealing with an open mind, you can get a lot of things across. It's when you're dealing with a closed mind because the things that you're saying is so what are my friends gonna think? Or what? I mean, and I hate to put it to you like this, but it's almost like an interracial dating. You know, you dating from a family. This is an Italian family, strictly Italian. That's all they date is Italians. That's all they have.
Right.
And all of a sudden, guess who's coming to dinner? You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And now, Leroy then came to dinner. That upsets the whole family dynamics on how you want to talk about things because now your neighbors and everybody else in the community is looking at you so strange and how you letting Leroy come over to the house.
But if Sam was my family member,
correct,
and Sam already told Uncle Cogee, this is what's going down, this is who I'm messing with, and once it's not a shock to me, and I tell the parent like, no, she's been dealing with this. We been trying to find a way to talk to you and catch you in the right moment to tell you this. So it ain't really been like she's a sneaky person or he's a sneaky person. No, we've been trying to find a way to tell you this.
Sam actually uses they them pronouns because they're
they.
Yeah.
They.
You can use they in a neutral sense.
So it's me and them,
yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah, they've already come to me. They've told me this.
Right.
Yeah.
They've already come to me. And they have already, you know what I'm
go.
saying, told me. You get what I'm trying to say? But the thing about it is, that takes the shock value off of it as much. Because how somebody go, man, let me tell you something. This person's running around here trying to be sneaky. And you like, no, the person's not trying to be sneaky because they told me they've been trying to get help to find a way to tell you.
But like I said on previous shows too, we have parents who are still living their life dreams through their children.
Right. You're
So
right.
when they're living their life legacy through their children and not allowing their children to create their own legacy, then that's where you have the biggest problem in.
You're right.
I mean, I deal with students on many different levels, many different areas, and I see a lot of different things. So, referring to Sam like your pronoun, as you said, referring to Sam, I mean, that's not a hard thing because I'm used to it. Because I've had so many different kids come up to me. True story, I had a kid write a letter, and all the kids in the class, what happened if you found out your best friend was gay? What would you do?
Right.
Everybody in the room was writing a letter.
You told me that.
And then when they was writing the letter, one kid said, I am gay. So I couldn't just sit there and oust that kid and say, I can't believe what I'm looking at. No, I had to sit there and just keep on reading the letters like it was no big deal. And when he came to me and said, what did you think about when you seen the letter? All I said is, it's your life. You have to make that decision.
Right.
But it has to be an open-minded person to accept people for who they are and let them live their life.
Right. Okay, now let me go back to this real quick. I'm going to piggyback off this with Sam real quick. Sam, okay, this goes back to what I said a minute ago. You just gave me the terminology that I should use. They.
Yeah.
Every person
Wouldn't understand.
and every family. It's not going to happen that way.
No, absolutely not.
It's not going to happen that way until you're able to sit down and talk to that parent just as comfortable as I'm talking to you right now. And then that's when you can introduce the terminologies that should be used, because when a person is saying what they're saying in the heat of the moment, the worst thing that you can do to any parent is stop me in my tracks and tell me how I'm supposed to address you. You get what I'm trying to say?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Not disrespecting you.
No, yeah.
But that's the worst thing you can do to a hurt parent.
Right.
Is stop them in their tracks.
Right.
And tell them, no, you address me this way. What? You know what I'm saying? No.
Oh, yeah.
First you gotta let me process it. First you gotta let me go in my room, cry, go take a drive, go call my friends, go talk to different people. But I just pray that the parents and the overseers of the child talk to the right people that are going to give them information to help them keep their home solid,
and so, I mean,
not destroy it. You get what I'm saying?
That's a super common story that happens.
Right.
Is someone tries to come out and the parent has their reaction, whether it's immediate support and love because they already know these kinds of things. Like if someone's coming out as gay, often a parent knows what that is.
Right.
Right. Or if it is more of like that fear reaction and that frustration. That's a super common reaction, and that's where the problem happens is when a parent hears those things or they're told those things and they just go right into denial and they never want to come out of it and they never want to learn from it. And that's when the relationships start to deteriorate because it's like, okay, even though you've told me your truth and you've told me this, I'm just going to keep my blinders up. Like you were saying, I'm going to keep my blinders up, and I'm going to continue on pretending this isn't happening and pretending this doesn't exist.
That's right.
But there's no pretending because at some point, like, you know, Sunshine says, there's no point. I mean, you're going to see your child is who they are, and you're going to have to deal with it, and an open mind has to stay open because you will lose your child in the process of having that closed mind.
And that's why we're doing this show.
And you would never want to lose your child because that's the closest thing to you. I mean, you know, like you said, Coach, if my son or you know, a close friend of mine's kid came and said, you know, hey, Uncle Marlon, you know, I decided I want to let you know a secret. Well, when you start saying that, I'm 5 things already hit me in the head, and I'm preparing myself for what you're getting ready to say. So it's one of the 5. But I'm used to it because I deal with children all the time, and I deal with different situations of this matter. See, when you a teacher, you see things on a different level that everybody else doesn't see. I see what the parent does not see when you send the kid off to school. Mm-hmm. When you send the kid off to school, you give him a hug and you bye Becky, oh bye mommy, and then all that old cute little stuff. And then as soon as they walk away, there's somebody totally different. There's a hellion that you've never seen before jumping on the back of the motorcycle with Hank and driving off on the back of the motorcycle. But you thought that, you know, this is all cool. Yeah. But, you know, I'm seeing everything in a raw form. And that's how the parents have to have that open mind and say, you know what? You know, my little child is not my little child when they were 8 years old. Take off the blinders. This is a new age. I mean, once you gave them an iPad and an iPhone, it's over. You have to start monitoring exactly what's going on and keeping a tab on your kid.
But not keeping a tab in order to like constrict them and
not control.
Control. The goal should never be control.
Right.
Or try to like repress something that your child is interested in or wants to know more about, especially in terms of like trying to find information on gender identity and things like that. Because again, that's just where problems come in.
Well, gender identity, like you brought that you brought that up. You know, I had asked Sam after, you know, when we were on break, what does that really mean? Mm-hmm. You know, that's not something that you learn right off the bat. You learn that, hey, someone said that they're gay. It's hard enough dealing with knowing that you're gay. Right. But when you say I'm transgender, now you done brought a whole different dynamic into the understanding.
Gender queer. Now, see, that was one that threw me for a loop that Jay told me. Jay said, well, you know, ask her, you know, them about gender queer. And I was like, okay, now you just really took me out of the equation of the interview because that was one I never heard before.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But hold on, let's do this real quick. I want you to let us know, Sam, how did you break it to your parent? When did you know? No, when did you know? How did you break it to your parent? And what have you went through outside of the household with, you know, the community and school? And, you know, what are some of the things that a child has to look forward to be in this lifestyle?
Yeah. So for me, like, even when I was like a little kid, my mom, who I know was listening to the show, hey mama.
Hey mom.
Hey mom. My mom was super, super open and amazing. You know, she always like from birth told me and my brother all about like, you know, you can love whoever you want, and you can absolutely, you know, if you end up being gay, like that's great. If you're not, that's cool too. And all, she's very, very open. It was amazing. And I was very gender nonconforming when I was a kid. And I just called myself like a tomboy, you know. Right. I was never like one of the pretty girls. So, you know, when I was like 14 or so, I came out as a lesbian originally. Because that's all I knew, you know. That was the only information that I had available to me, and I was like, that's kind of where I fit in, sure. And then a couple years after that, it was like right after end of high school, was when I actually met a trans person for the first time in real life. And he was a transgender male. And so that was when the terminology was first like made available to me, and I was like, wait, this is a thing? Like this is a thing that I can do? This is a thing that people what? And so it was like it was actually about a year of totally myself, just on the computer, like late at night, looking at things and reading, and then after about 6 months, when I started going to the center, the LGBTQ center here in Vegas, I just like tried on I was like, call me these pronouns, but like just to those people, you know? And they were like, okay, yeah, sure. Because, you know, they've already been living in it and they do it. And that was like my first, like, all right, this is a thing that I can do. This is like, and this is nice. This feels good. Like, this makes me really happy. And so when I actually ended up telling my mom, I didn't mean to tell my mom. I do drag. I do not like queens, but I do drag king, where you dress up as like a man and you perform masculinity and those kinds of things. And I was doing like a makeup trial. And like my mom made this comment when I showed her. I don't even remember what she said, but she made this comment and it made me like so upset. And I got so mad. I just got so upset. And I was like screaming and crying, and she was so lost because she had no idea that she had said anything wrong. But you know, I didn't know how to tell her. So it was this like fight that we had. But it ended with me telling her, like, you know, this is how I've been feeling. This is what I've been doing. You know, this is what people have been calling me. These kinds of things. And you know, initially, it was very much like what you said, Cogee. She was like, I don't understand. I don't like this. I don't know what's going on. We didn't talk about it for a while. And, you know, I'm sure that she went and called her friends and did Googling and didn't know what was going on. But eventually, you know, she came to a point, and after I had found the resources to give her and things like that, she came to a point where she was like, you know, I love you unconditionally. You know, you are my kid. You're not my daughter anymore. And I think that there probably was a little bit of like the letting go of the expectations that she had as a daughter for me. You know what I mean? Because those are gone now. I'm not her daughter anymore. But you know, she said, I love you unconditionally, and you know, you deserve respect, and I'm going to respect you and what it is that you're doing, how you want to look, how you want me to call you, all those kinds of things. And so now, I mean, she's amazing. She's the pronoun police, I swear.
But there's one thing you have to understand, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to butt in. The first rule of life,
No
'cause
problem.
you know I do that anyway. I'm just apologizing for whatever. But anyway, the first rule of life is you have to love yourself. And in loving yourself lets everybody else love you. So when you said that you were the ugly duckling, or you just didn't feel like you was the prettiest one, let me tell you something. It's nothing more attractive to anybody than someone who has self-confidence in themselves.
Right.
And so
You're
that
right
was the
about
problem,
that.
is for so long I wanted to be one of the pretty girls, and I thought that's what I had to do, and that I was just failing at that. You know what I mean? Like,
But pretty inside does not equate to pretty on the outside.
Right.
but it just turned out that like pretty girl is not where I'm supposed to fit in at all. You know what I mean?
Right.
I became so much happier when I let go of that and started to come
You
into
found a happy space.
how it is I look now and
And
how it
guess
is I
what,
want
Sam?
to be seen now.
And guess what, Sam? You look pretty. Just who you are.
Right.
Thanks.
Inside and out.
Yeah. That's I mean, but that's what this show's about. You know what I'm saying? It's about finding that love and that balance within inside of yourself. So when you do talk to somebody that you respect and that you're very nervous about, who's gonna have a problem with it, once you show that you're so comfortable with it and it's so cool and understandable what you get ready to go through. I know this got brought on you as a parent. And we as parents, we will have to deal with it and process it the way we have to.
Oh yeah.
Now, it goes back to me real quick, then I'm going to move over, you know, to Aaron. Like I said, as a parent, I think if any of my children would have hit me with it, I think they all know what kind of parent I am and what kind of person I am. They would pick and choose the right moment to deal with me, to tell me this, but I also think they would have a facilitator.
They would have to.
They would have to. The kind of person I am, they would have to. Not saying that I'm a wild out or go off, but the expectations I had for you. You get what I'm saying? What I thought that we were gonna share as a dad and a son, as a dad and a daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're telling me I have to shift who I am and what I am for you and what I brought you into this world to be. Now I gotta shift because of you. See, those are the emotions that a parent that don't understand, that's how they gonna react.
Oh yeah.
But then once I get the
Information.
information and I process it in my own time, and I say,
It's going to take time.
it's gonna take time, but I'm willing to make time and learn the ways on how I'm supposed to deal with this. Why? Because I love my children, and I know all y'all parents, y'all love y'all's children. Keep that first, that word, I love you. I love you. Always go back to when I said the doctor first put that child in your arms. Look at that child, even in your madness, and go back to that, and you'll find that love, unjudgeable love. It's just, I love you. I have no reason to judge you. You something that came in this world. I love you. That's the kind of person and the kind of words I need to hear from a facilitator.
Oh yeah, so
Like Cogee. I know how much you love this child as a little boy, man. How much you loved her as a little girl. Don't let it shift, because they need that same love right now to get through this as well.
Oh yeah, so I mean, like, you know, now
Right.
my mom is the biggest fighter
Right.
for me, and is
I
my
hear you.
biggest supporter. You know, she's gone through everything
Right.
in this journey with me, as far as like, you know, when I do change things about myself, when I changed pronouns all the way over in all aspects of my life,
Right.
you know, when I change how I present and how I look, you know, she has been the biggest fighter and supporter that I have with me.
I hear you.
You know, because she came at it from that perspective of, I love you. That's the bottom line.
Right. Let me ask Sunshine. Sunshine, what have you heard thus far?
I think it's great. You know, I think that, you know, like me being a woman and having a daughter, you know, I need to keep that open mindset.
I hear you.
You know, and you need to find some help, though, for people that don't understand the trans or whatever problem that your child is going through. And you have to, like you say, you know, you kick it to the curb because you don't want to lose that child. You don't want to hurt that child.
Right.
So people have to be aware of their understandings, you know, and not just get, you know, all caught up in society, you know.
I hear you.
You just have to say, look, like you said, go back to that day that, you know, they were there in your arms.
Right. You got to find that
You've gotta find
peace and balance of
something,
love. Right.
you know,
Something to hold on to.
That
That's
you
what
have
we'll
to
call
hold
it.
on to.
Right.
And that's what this show is about.
That's right.
We want to inform you. We want to ask questions.
Right.
We want to be aware.
So nobody gets hit
So
from the blind
nobody
side.
gets kicked to the curb.
That's right.
No child should be lost.
E, what you think real quick, and then we're going to go to Aaron.
Well, going back to the moment when they're born, I mean, I'm not a parent, but I would carry that with me regardless, whether they were going through an identity crisis or not, whatever they're going through.
But anybody can lose their way with trauma. Trauma.
Yes, they can.
Trauma makes you make you lose your way.
Right.
And often, I mean, like, you know, even if there is all that love that you have for the child when they're first born, it's just a thing that happens. People see the child and, oh, it's a girl, and they're like, oh, I can't wait for her to get married and for her to find an amazing
Right.
husband
Yeah.
and for her to get this amazing job and for her to have all these grandchildren, and it all kind of just goes together. So that I think
Yeah.
that's where it can get lost.
And you know
Yeah.
what? Hold on, let me say this one thing, Ian. I'm going to come right back to you. Now, we can go back to when the doctor first put that child in your arms. But if that child pee on you right off the bat when you get it put in your arms, you know what I'm saying? Think about it. As a parent, that will always be a joke down the road. Like, yeah, when I first grabbed you, you peed on me. You know what I'm saying? That's something that you never forget.
Or you
But you get what I'm
spit up
trying to
on
say?
me.
Right. You
Yeah.
spit up on me. But what I'm saying is, is shock. That'll be shock value.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Now, you love that child, but you'll always have that thought of what just happened. And that's what happens when us parents get hit with something like that. It's shock value. It's like, that came from where?
Yeah.
How?
Not even left field. Hello.
Yeah, not even that field. That came like, that was a straight pitch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying is, with this whole situation, no parent, none of our families are immune to this. It could happen to anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now, even with me doing this show, I'm glad that I really do this show with an open mind, because even if a month from now, 2 months from now, this hits my home, you know what I'm saying? I know how to deal with it.
Right. You'll
I
have
know
the
how to deal with it.
information and the tools to
And
help you.
I have people I can call
Right.
and say,
Yeah.
this is what I'm dealing with right now. This is what my child told me. You know, what am I supposed to do with this information? You get what I'm saying? Even you,
Yeah.
Mr. Neal, as far as in school, you know I'm going to call you and be like, man, look, let me tell you this. But here's the thing about me. I'm not ashamed to tell something that can save my home. And that's when people need to put that guard down
Right.
and be real about it and get the real information, instead of having this macho style where I'm going to ask you and you're going to give me a macho answer. So you're going to make me keep my guard up and make me keep my anger on blast, on hot heat. You know what I'm saying? Instead of saying, Coach, check this out. Man, this goes on in my school. This is nothing new. This is something that, you know, I know you're a strong man, and you're gonna make it through this.
First of all, I had to take you out the house. you cannot be in the same house
Yeah.
for the situation.
Yeah, you got to take me
No.
for a drive.
Yeah.
Ride me to
Right.
Mount Charleston.
Right.
Well, no, there's-
You know what I'm saying? No,
Yeah.
I'm just saying you
We
got to
gotta get out.
really
Yeah.
take me out of my element
That's right.
and take me away where you will have a long ride to talk to me.
Right.
By the time we get there, I should be feeling a little different. But the time we turn around and come all the way back, I should be ready to go back into the home with a whole new
Perspective.
feeling and an attitude, right, for the
Because
love of my child.
It's not easy.
Right.
No.
It's not easy, especially E being as as young as he is. I mean, to even have a friend come to you and say, X, Y, and Z may happen, then how do you deal with that? Because
Exactly.
you've been, even if you've been playing football, basketball, you've been changing clothes, they've been spending the night, and then all of a sudden they just come out the blue and say, oh, by the way, I think I'm having certain type of feelings, and you looking like, where did these feelings come from?
Yeah.
And it may not be directed towards him, but just the idea that that's his best friend, and that was something that he had to wait to say he felt comfortable in the atmosphere to say comfortable about it.
Okay, let me say this real quick, and then we're gonna move on to Aaron real quick.
We gonna get
got
to you, Aaron,
Miss
we
Elsa
promise.
Prado, Miss Elsa Prado on the phone. But I think if my friend done that, and we've been cool this long, and we're gonna use the same example you gave, and I know we didn't address in front of each other, we didn't did this, did that, far as just being men friends,
Right.
nothing sexual, no nothing, just.
Right.
That's my dog. That's my
Right.
partner. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's my
That's my
buddy.
brother.
Yeah, my brother. You know what I'm saying? I can take it more better that way than if you tried to hit on me and change and shift what we have right now.
So try to push the values on you
Right.
without even
Yeah.
allowing you
Right,
to
right.
accept who they are and what they
Well,
really
you
are.
ain't told me yet. You coming out and you expressing and showing me through your actions. And I'm, whoa, hey, what's up with you? That's gonna make me feel different than, hey, Cogee, come on, let's go out to eat. I want to tell you something.
Actually,
at the table.
Cogee, I think they're one and the same, because the way
not
people,
me.
well, I'm saying, because the way people express themselves is always different. No one expresses themselves always the same. I mean, somebody may come out and say, hey, I want to tell you something, and they may be drunk and say it and to see how you're going to react. Or they may
Right,
try to
right.
hit on you and playing around, and then all of a sudden they come out with, well, I really want to tell you this.
But that's why I said I can accept it better if, even if you're drunk or we just go out and eat and you just tell me, hey, Coach, look, I'm going to tell you, this is what I've been battling with, and this is what I've been going through, and, I just want to know what you feel about it.
I'm gonna tell you right now, until you in that situation,
You're
you
not gonna
can't.
know.
Right, you're not gonna know. You can't say that you can handle it better because you. I'm gonna tell you something, Coach. You 24/7 man. That means your mind is always clicking. So even when someone's talking to you, you still taking care of some business across town.
Yeah.
So when someone's talking to you and say, hey, by the way, I'm feeling like I'm gay today, and you're gonna laugh it off like, okay, yeah, he talking about he gay, he just happy, and then you're gonna go back to your business. But when they start going through that deep conversation, you have to give them your 100.
Yeah.
Then at that point, that switches where you really are to say, wait a minute, so what you really saying is, and then that's where situations change. So until you in that situation, or until you've dealt with a child that came to you out of the blue and jumped. I'm not saying he opened the door and creeped out the closet. I'm saying he kicked the door open and ran out the closet and say, here I am like Roger Rabbit.
But I didn't have family members that then told me in their own way, because the whole rest of the family was like, oh, my God, you ready to tell him? Get ready for it. You see what I'm saying?
Right, I
they were
understand.
so nervous to tell me. You know what I'm saying? But then when they told me and I didn't wild out or freak out, they were like,
Well, I mean, did you
That's
have?
all I had
but
to
did
do?
you have some kind of sense of understanding?
Right.
Right. But when
Right.
we talking about when you don't have that sense of
You
understanding,
don't have
Right.
an
Yeah.
open
when
mind.
it's a shock value.
Right.
If he playing football somewhere and or basketball, one of his homies, and he been playing for a while, and they've been changing, undressing, talking about everything. I mean, they can be talking about anything personal. And all of a sudden, his homie says, well, listen, dude, I really want to tell you something. That's a shock value.
Yeah.
That comes out of the blue.
right.
Yeah.
So until you in that situation, I don't think that's really going to happen for you. How you doing, Miss Elsa?
Miss Elsa Prado from Chicago. How you doing? Elsa, how you doing today?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Elsa, you know today this show that we having today, it means a lot to me and you, because we talked about this on the phone and why
Yes.
it's important to us. Can you talk about that real quick, and then we're gonna go to Aaron real quick.
I really think it's important because this is something that really is touching a lot of lives, and I think that people need to have more awareness about this situation. Especially with the issues that we were, commenting about. There's still a lot of discrimination for the
Right.
community, and
Right.
there's a lot of, bullying taking place, homelessness, and a lot of situations of abuse.
Right. That's true. You're right about that. And that's why I feel like we have to definitely do our part and shine a light of understanding out on our community right now. But I think the first thing we need to do, and me as a host, is to show, hey, I have a no judgment zone. I
Yeah,
have a
me
no
neither.
judgment zone. None.
That's
None.
what this is all about.
Right. That's what this
Yep.
is all about. Definitely. So, everybody, I want to introduce y'all to Erin. Erin, thank you for being on the show today.
Hi, thank you.
I do appreciate you. I'm sorry, we've been going at it, but do you feel like a lot of great information has been passed across this table right now and out to the
Yeah.
world?
Yeah, for sure. Although there are a few more things that you can add and build off of what we've been saying so far.
All right, teach us, Erin. Teach us.
All
We
right.
ready.
So, something that can be a little bit confusing when you first learn about someone being transgender is that you think that gender and sex are the same exact thing. And they aren't. Gender is more of a mental state of being. It's psychological. It's just something that you feel. Whereas sex is the combination of hormones, chromosomes, and your genitals.
All right.
And
Biological.
yeah, it
It's
is.
the biological factor.
Exactly. So even if they don't line up, they were never the same. And what it means when they line up, that's called being cisgender, or just cis for short. It's the opposite of being trans or transgender.
So like you, Cogee, you were born a little boy, and you still identify as a man, yeah?
Right.
So you're a cisgender male.
Whereas even though I am biologically female, I identify as male, so that would make me a trans man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fun fact.
y'all gotta take me slow. Y'all gotta take me slow, a little slow on this. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm processing this, but I need to know this information so I can share it with the people that's gonna talk to me off of the show. You get what I'm
right.
saying?
And so like, that's
Okay.
kind of what I said a little bit in the first hour,
Right.
where I was like, there's not like a checklist to be trans. You know what I'm saying? It's not
Okay.
that a trans person has to have the surgery, quote unquote, or do a
Right,
certain
right,
amount
okay.
of things to
Right.
be fully male or fully female.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Identifying as something makes you that because you are that. And
As
it's
far as
not a
gender goes,
decision. Yeah. Well, with gender, yes. And it's not a decision. It's just how you feel. I never decided to be male. I just discovered it rather because it was always there inside me. It was always there inside me and I just realized it. It's always been there.
When did you realize it? In what age? And how did you start acting out towards that?
Well, I mean, it's always been there. Like, I have never been a girly person unless my parents were the ones dressing me.
So you're just like a
So-
tomboy.
Yeah, in a sense, yes. And I have always hated feminine things because it never fit. It never felt right. But I really kind of realized it with the terminology and kind of like put two and two together back in the summer of 2014. And then in last October, that's when I came out to my parents. And that's when they were so amazing when I came out. They were fully supportive. They were amazing. They're like, hey, yeah, we're going to take you to the LGBT Center in Las Vegas because that's the closest place where there are resources.
His parents are
And
literally the coolest people on this planet.
Right.
it's really true. They're great
Give them a
about
shout
it.
out.
Well,
Give them a
yeah.
shout out.
Tell them where they're
Let them
located.
say hello. You know what I'm saying?
Hello.
Give them a shout out.
Tell us where they're located. Where we can call.
Yeah.
Well, I mean-
I'll plug the center in
Yeah,
a second.
plug
I'll
the center,
plug the
yeah.
center hard.
yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
So, my parents have been absolutely amazing with everything. Like, I'm even, like, just a few months after I came out, I got on testosterone because my parents were like, hey, do you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, all right, cool, we'll, like, try and get this. And so I've been on testosterone for some months. I don't know.
Wait.
But
I got on it in January. So,
8 months?
7, 8.
Have you gotten
7,
7 shots so far? Yeah.
but tell what that does to you.
Okay, so as a trans men usually take testosterone, which gives you more masculine features. It gives you secondary sex characteristics.
It's essentially like going through puberty, like if you were a cis boy.
Yeah. So, like, my voice deepens, I get facial hair, like, other things stop, and then, like, you get a lot hairier, and you sweat more, and it's just, like, some parts are really gross, but then other
hear
parts
you.
are great, and you can just,
I hear
like,
you.
feel like yourself.
Right. Okay, now let me ask y'all this question real quick, and then Elsa, I'm coming to you. We're going to move fast. What about the child that dabbles in this situation thinking, oh, hey, it's the hip thing to do. It's on TV. We see it everywhere. But then they do it, and then they're like, that didn't feel right. I don't feel right. Now I'm stuck. I'm sick. You get what I'm trying to say? Hold on.
Okay.
What would y'all say to that child? How do you help that child come back across the bridge to where they were and that they did try something that it wasn't for them, but it's okay, but go back to your regular life? How, as parents, do we do that if the child come to us first? You get what I'm saying? There it is again, shock value. Dad, I thought I was gay, but I wasn't. I tried it. I didn't like it. And that's what I'm dealing with, why I'm tripping right now. What do we say as parents as shock value? I'm just saying, help me out with this.
Honestly, I think it's important to say the reality of the situation is that type of experience, the whole like beginning to transition and then like wanting to reverse, is such a small percentage of people.
Okay.
It's a handful of cases a year. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But it does happen.
It does happen.
Right.
But when you say like, someone's doing it because it's trendy, because it's on TV, that's not really what the situation is. Often it's just that before this, people didn't know this was a thing.
Right.
And so the fact that the information is out there and people can discover this so much younger, it's not that it's suddenly trendier. It always existed. Trans people have been around literally forever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not that it's becoming trendy. It's just that the information is out there and more people are realizing that, like I did, oh, this is an option for me. This is something that I can do that other people are doing.
Right.
The chances of having a kid, like Aaron being so young, and wanting to revert back or do any of those kinds of things is so tiny. It's such a minuscule chance of that happening.
Right.
But I did want to plug in real quick that sometimes it's just not them experimenting. Sometimes it's things that have happened in the family.
Right. That's what I said.
And they felt like this is the journey that they were on.
Right.
And then something turned them around. I believe you had a guest on the show maybe
Right.
2-3 times.
That's where I was getting
and
to. You're right.
that he figured out that wasn't
for me.
That wasn't for me.
Right. That's why I asked
but
that question.
it takes that person to be able to have that autonomy to figure out exactly where they are in life. We're talking about them being secure within themselves and start loving themselves to figure out exactly where they need to
get
go.
it right, and
Right.
on the road to get it right.
Right.
Wait a minute, Elsa Prado, we need you. I feel you. I feel you, Elsa. I feel you.
You can feel it, right? I want to ask questions. As part of the discovery, because I see you're using that word, can you give us a little bit more detail about what that discovery process is? I mean, I'm taking it as something like you're starting to feel like something's not right with me, and I'm noticing certain things. Like, what is part of that discovery?
We'll go with that.
Go for it.
All right, cool.
Yeah, no.
So, basically, the discovery is like, this doesn't fit me. Like, this identity that I have been living with for my entire life thus far doesn't fit. And so then you try and figure out, like, hey, what is up with this? Why doesn't this fit? And you do research and you try and figure out, like, well, then what does fit? And, like, why is it different than everyone else? Like, do other people feel like this? And then that's when you start looking things up so that way you can figure out where you fit in and what you are.
Because you immediately can end up feeling like I'm losing my mind. There's no one else who feels like me. I'm losing my mind.
Exactly.
Right.
You can feel very, very alone if you don't do that research, if you can't find support, if you can't be open about this stuff.
Right. And if you can't go to your parents right off the bat, did I have it right when I said you should try to find some kind of mentor, somebody that understands, even if they are not the same way, but they just understand. How helpful and supportful is that? Both of you all.
Yeah.
Yeah. A really good support system is honestly your friends. Because I have, like, the first person I came out to was my friend Tanner, and he was like, all right, cool. I will fully support you in everything that you are, and if I'll call you whatever you want me to, and just let me know. And if it turns out that you realize you are something else, then just let me know, and I support you, and we're friends. I will forever support you, and
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
like, and-
that's what trans people need.
Yeah.
You know, I'll
I
back
hear
that too.
Yeah.
You know, even my mom, like I said, is amazing and supports me entirely. But a lot of my support does come from other trans friends that I have, just because it's so much easier to sit down like with my best friend Salem, and you know, this weird thing happened, and I know you get it because you're trans too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Salem can also speak to me from experience, and that kind of support is so important. You know, my mom will never be able to talk to me from experience about what it is to be trans because she doesn't experience that. You know what I mean? That friend support system and finding other people that are like you and have that same experience is so important.
Absolutely.
I hear you. Now, what I want to do real quick, like I said, we down to just like 3 minutes or 2 minutes, but we want to do this real fast. Thoughts of suicide. Friends that then passed away from suicide. Friends that didn't have this support system. Have you went through that? The thoughts.
I have never had any friends who have dealt with this, and I've been lucky enough to. I haven't either, and I feel very fortunate to not have to deal with that. But
Right.
there have been over 11 trans youth who've committed suicide just this year, and to me that's appalling.
And that's only 11 like well documented, well known cases. There's
Exactly.
Right.
many,
It's
many
more
more.
than that, right?
Exactly.
Definitely.
And like the attempted suicide rate is at 41%. And trans people, our life expectancy is 30. How absurd is that?
It's
Everyone-
30. It's 30 for
Yeah.
for like overall like an average.
Right.
But for trans women particularly, it's even lower. I think it's
Yeah.
right about 25 or 28
Right.
for a trans woman.
Exactly. And just we need support. That's what we need, because without our support, that's when we get these feelings like we
Like you're
aren't
alone.
loved. We are alone. We need people to be with us. That we humans are
But
social
wait, hold on.
people.
But when you say be with us, we don't want nobody out in TV land to say,
Yeah.
oh, what you mean you want us to be with you? No, break it down. Look at the cameras and tell the camera what you mean by you need our support and for us to understand and be with you. I know what you mean, but some people are going to hear this different.
So what I mean by just be with us, I mean just listen to what we have to say. Just be there and support us and listen to us.
Take what we say as our truth. What we're saying is our truth.
Exactly. You just like don't say like, oh no, that can't possibly be true, or that's false, I won't call you this. Just say, okay, how do you want me to what do you want me to call you? What do you